Chosen one, there are moments in your life when you begin to realize that every delay was not an accident. Every strange betrayal carried a hidden lesson, and every person who smiled in your face while secretly working against you was already seen by God long before you noticed their intentions. You have been wondering why certain doors suddenly closed, why confusion surrounded your path, and why your energy felt constantly attacked whenever you got close to something greater. But what you did not fully understand is that Jay was trying to interfere with a blessing that had your name written on it before you were even born. The spiritual battle around your life became intense because heaven was preparing to elevate you beyond what your enemies could control. And the moment God saw the sabotage, everything began to shift in your favor. Chosen one, Jay underestimated the protection resting over your life. They thought because they had influence, manipulation, or access to certain people, they could quietly stop what God was building for you. They believed they could speak against your name behind closed doors, spread doubt around your purpose, and weaken your confidence until you walked away from your own destiny. But what they never understood is that when God places a calling on someone, no human being can permanently block it. They may delay it for a season. They may create confusion for a moment. They may even celebrate too early thinking they succeeded. But eventually heaven steps in, and when heaven moves, every hidden scheme begins collapsing at once. You noticed how strange things became whenever you started moving closer to your purpose. Opportunities disappeared without explanation. Certain people suddenly became distant. Conversations felt heavy. Plans kept shifting unexpectedly. It was not random. There was spiritual resistance around your breakthrough because Jay sensed something powerful about your future. Even if they never admitted it openly, they could feel your elevation approaching. Some people become uncomfortable when they realize God is about to bless someone they secretly tried to stay above. Your growth exposed insecurities inside them they never healed from. Instead of celebrating your rise, they tried to interfere with it. Chosen one. Jealousy operates quietly before it becomes obvious. At first it looks like concern. It sounds like advice. It disguises itself as friendship. But eventually the mask slips. You begin noticing subtle negativity whenever you share your vision. You start seeing disappointment on their face when good things happen for you. They become cold whenever your confidence increases. That is because some people only support you when they believe you will remain beneath them. The moment God starts separating you for greatness, their spirit becomes disturbed. Jay thought they could control the narrative around your life. They believed if enough people doubted you, your blessing would disappear. But your blessing was never connected to public approval. God does not need permission from people to elevate you. What he has ordained cannot be cancelled by gossip, manipulation, or envy. In fact, sometimes God allows the resistance so you can finally see who was secretly working against you all along. There were nights you questioned yourself deeply. You wondered if maybe you were imagining the tension. Maybe you were overthinking the strange energy. Maybe you were expecting too much from people who never truly valued you. But your spirit kept feeling disturbed for a reason. Discernment was trying to warn you before the betrayal fully revealed itself. God was opening your eyes little by little, because the truth would have overwhelmed you all at once. Chosen one, some attacks are not physical. Some attacks are emotional distractions designed to drain your focus before your breakthrough arrives. Jay wanted you exhausted mentally. They wanted your confidence broken spiritually. They hoped disappointment would convince you to stop pursuing the calling on your life. because if you stopped believing in yourself, they would never have to face the reality of your elevation. But God kept pulling you forward, even during your weakest moments. Think about how many times you almost gave up, yet something inside refused to die. That was not accidental strength. That was divine protection. Heaven would not allow your destiny to collapse because of another person's insecurity. Even when you cried in silence, God was already rearranging situations behind the scenes. Conversations were happening spiritually that you could not hear. Doors were being protected that you thought were permanently closed. People were being removed from your path because they carried hidden motives against your future. Jay never expected God to intervene so quickly. They assumed the pressure would eventually crush you. They believed isolation would weaken you. But isolation became the very place where your spirit grew stronger. While they were focused on controlling appearances, God was developing your discernment. While they were trying to limit your opportunities, heaven was preparing connections they could never touch. Chosen one of the hardest truths to accept is realizing some people were never fighting you because of what you did wrong. They were fighting you because your presence reminded them of everything they failed to become. Your resilience irritated them. Your light exposed their darkness. Your peace frustrated the chaos within them. And your future terrified them because deep down they knew God was taking you somewhere they could not follow. There is a reason certain attacks intensified right before major shifts in your life. The enemy always reacts when breakthrough gets close. Jay could sense movement happening around you spiritually. They noticed your mindset changing. They saw your confidence returning. They recognized your connection with God becoming stronger. And instead of respecting your transformation, they tried harder to interfere. But every attack only pushed God to elevate you faster. What they meant for delay became preparation. What they meant for humiliation became wisdom. What they meant for destruction became redirection. And now the same blessing they tried to stop is approaching with even greater power, because God saw everything they did in secret. Chosen one, God does not ignore hidden betrayal. People may fool others temporarily, but they never fool heaven. Every conversation spoken against you was heard. Every manipulative action was witnessed. Every attempt to block your peace was recorded spiritually. That is why certain people suddenly started exposing themselves without you needing to fight back. God has a way of allowing truth to surface naturally. When He steps in, masks begin falling on their own. You may have noticed people acting nervous around you lately. Their energy shifted because spiritually they know something is changing. Those who secretly worked against you can feel your season turning around. They sense favor returning to your life. And nothing unsettles hidden enemies more than watching someone they tried to stop become even stronger after the attack. Jay thought your silence meant weakness. They misunderstood your patience. They assumed because you avoided conflict, you lacked power. But restraint is not weakness when God is involved. Sometimes God keeps His chosen ones quiet because He is fighting battles they cannot see yet. While you remained silent, heaven was moving pieces into place. While you were healing privately, God was exposing motives publicly. Chosen one, your blessing was never dependent on one person's approval. It was connected to divine timing. And once that timing arrived, no manipulation could stop what God released for you. That is why things are beginning to align unexpectedly now. Opportunities are returning. Clarity is increasing. Your energy feels different because spiritually you are stepping into a protected season. The people who doubted you will soon witness the very thing they said would never happen. Not because you forced it, not because you begged for recognition, but because God honors perseverance. He rewards those who continue walking by faith, even while being opposed secretly. Your breakthrough carries more weight now because it survived resistance. There were moments when you felt abandoned emotionally. You questioned why certain people changed toward you so suddenly. But now you are beginning to understand that God was separating you intentionally. Some individuals could not go where you are headed. Their loyalty was conditional. Their support depended on your limitation. And the higher God lifts you, the more obvious their hidden resentment becomes. Chosen one, never feel guilty for outgrowing environments that constantly drained your spirit. Some people only entered your life to teach you discernment. Jay revealed what happens when envy hides behind familiarity. But God used even that betrayal for your growth. You are wiser now, stronger now, more spiritually aware now. What once hurt you deeply now sharpened your understanding. And this next season will confuse those who underestimated you. Because they expected exhaustion, but God renewed your strength. They expected failure, but God increased your wisdom. They expected you to break, but instead you became spiritually untouchable. The blessing approaching your life now carries restoration attached to it. God is not only replacing what was delayed, He is restoring confidence, peace, direction, and clarity. You are entering a season where things begin making sense after long periods of confusion. The spiritual fog is lifting, your intuition is becoming sharper, and people can no longer manipulate you as easily because discernment has matured within you. Jay cannot stop what God personally protects. That chapter is ending. And even though they tried to interfere with your destiny, heaven already made the final decision about your future, chosen one. The reason your spirit has been feeling so different lately is because God is pulling you out of survival mode and preparing you for elevation. For too long you were surrounded by people who benefited from your exhaustion. They became comfortable watching you question yourself. They enjoyed the version of you that stayed uncertain, quiet, and emotionally drained, because that version was easier to control. But something has shifted inside you recently. Even if you cannot fully explain it yet, your soul no longer agrees with limitation. Your spirit no longer feels comfortable shrinking to protect the comfort of others. God is awakening a new level of authority within you, and the people who secretly worked against you can feel it. Jay thought the delays would permanently weaken your faith. They believed disappointment after disappointment would eventually make you stop trusting God altogether. They assumed unanswered prayers would turn your heart bitter. But instead of destroying your faith, the pressure forced you deeper into spiritual awareness. You stopped depending on people for validation. You stopped chasing approval from those who never truly supported you. And in the isolation, you discovered something powerful. God was the only constant presence that never abandoned you. Chosen one, there is a reason your intuition became stronger after betrayal. Pain sharpened your discernment. Before, you ignored certain signs because you wanted to believe the best in everyone. You dismissed red flags. You explained away strange behavior. You gave endless chances to people who continuously disrespected your spirit. But after everything you endured, your eyes opened differently. Now you can feel energy before words are spoken. You can sense manipulation before it fully reveals itself. And that spiritual awareness is part of your protection. Jay underestimated how much God was teaching you through the struggle. They thought the attacks were burying you, but heaven was actually training you. Every disappointment increased your wisdom. Every betrayal strengthened your discernment. Every lonely season deepened your connection with God. The very process designed to break you became the process that transformed you into someone spiritually unstoppable. There are people watching your life right now who cannot understand how you are still standing after everything that happened. They saw the rejection. They saw the emotional warfare. They saw how many obstacles appeared in your path. And yet somehow you continue moving forward. That confuses people who expected your spirit to collapse under pressure. What they fail to realize is that God gives supernatural endurance to those carrying a divine assignment. Chosen one. Some battles were never about material things. They were about access to your spirit. Jay wanted access to your confidence because they lacked confidence within themselves. They wanted access to your peace because chaos consumed them internally. They wanted access to your light because darkness followed them everywhere. But instead of healing themselves, they tried to interfere with your growth. That is why God began separating you from certain energies, not as punishment, but as protection. You have entered a season where forced connections are breaking naturally. Conversations feel different now. Certain people cannot reach you emotionally the way they once could. Their manipulation no longer works because your spirit recognizes it immediately. That is not arrogance. That is spiritual maturity. God is teaching you the difference between compassion and self-sacrifice. He never asked you to destroy your peace just to keep toxic people comfortable. Jay secretly hoped you would remain emotionally attached to their opinions forever. They wanted your identity dependent on their approval, because that gave them power over your emotions. But God began reminding you who you truly are. He started rebuilding your self-worth piece by piece after years of emotional confusion. And once a chosen one remembers their value, manipulation loses its control completely. Chosen one. You are not imagining the sudden distance between you and certain people. Spiritual separation is taking place. God is clearing your environment before your next breakthrough arrives. Some individuals cannot accompany you into the next chapter because their intentions were never pure from the beginning. They smiled around you while quietly resenting your potential. They celebrated your failures privately while pretending to support you publicly. But God exposed the truth before they could do deeper damage to your destiny. One thing about divine protection is this: sometimes God removes people before you fully understand why. At first it feels painful, confusing, even unfair. But later you realize He saved you from future betrayal you never saw coming. Jay was not just interfering with small opportunities. They were trying to influence your confidence, your direction, and your relationship with God. And heaven stepped in before the damage became permanent. Chosen one, your life carries purpose beyond what most people can comprehend. That is why the warfare around you has been unusually intense. The enemy does not attack empty vessels. Resistance appears wherever purpose exists. Your calling threatens people who built their identity around control, jealousy, and insecurity. Your growth reminds them they remained stagnant. Your healing reminds them they never faced their own wounds. Your elevation forces them to confront truths they tried avoiding within themselves. And the more God blesses you, the more obvious their hidden resentment becomes. You may have noticed how some people become strangely uncomfortable whenever good things begin happening for you. Instead of genuine happiness, there is tension in their energy, forced smiles, passive comments, sudden silence. That is because envy struggles to celebrate what it secretly wishes to destroy. Jay could not fully hide their discomfort because your blessing exposed their inner condition. Chosen one, stop blaming yourself for relationships that changed once you started evolving spiritually. Not everyone is prepared to handle your transformation. Some people only knew how to connect with the wounded version of you. They became familiar with your self-doubt, your silence, your emotional exhaustion. But now God is healing your mind, restoring your confidence, strengthening your spirit. And people who benefited from your weakness often become uncomfortable when they can no longer control your emotions. That is why boundaries became necessary. That is why distance became necessary. That is why silence became necessary. God was teaching you how to protect your peace without feeling guilty for it. Jay thought they were blocking your blessing, but in reality they were revealing who truly belonged in your life and who never did. Sometimes betrayal becomes the very thing that frees you from environments that were suffocating your purpose. If certain people had remained close to you, they would have continued draining your energy while pretending to care. But God interrupted the cycle before your spirit became permanently exhausted. Chosen one, your breakthrough is going to feel deeply personal because of everything you survived privately. People may only see the success later, but they did not witness the nights you cried alone. They did not see the moments you questioned your worth. They did not feel the emotional heaviness you carried while still trying to remain strong for everyone else. But God saw every silent battle. He saw the effort nobody applauded. He saw the strength required just to keep moving forward. And because heaven witnessed your struggle personally, your reward will arrive personally too. There is restoration coming into your life that no enemy can interfere with now. Peace that cannot be manipulated. Clarity that cannot be confused. Confidence that cannot be stolen. And opportunities that no human being can block. Chosen one, you have spent too much time underestimating your own resilience. The fact that you survived seasons meant to destroy you proves God's hand has always been over your life. Many people would have broken under the pressure you carried. Many people would have lost faith completely after enduring the emotional attacks you faced. But despite everything, your spirit kept searching for light. Even wounded, you continued believing there was something greater ahead for you. That persistence is sacred, and heaven honors it. Jay never realized that every attack against you only brought you closer to God. The more isolated you became, the stronger your spiritual connection grew. The more betrayed you felt, the clearer your discernment became. The more obstacles appeared, the deeper your endurance developed. What was supposed to destroy your future actually prepared you for it. Chosen one, there are blessings approaching your life now that require emotional maturity to handle properly. That is why God allowed certain lessons first. Without discernment, you might have trusted the wrong people with your next season. Without spiritual growth, you might have repeated old cycles that drained your peace. But now your awareness is different. You no longer ignore your intuition just to maintain temporary relationships. You no longer chase people who repeatedly disrespect your spirit. You no longer confuse attachment with genuine loyalty. And that growth is protecting your future. Jay can no longer reach the version of you they once manipulated emotionally. That person is disappearing. God is rebuilding you into someone far more grounded spiritually. Someone who understands their worth without external validation. Someone who values peace more than performance. Someone who no longer apologizes for protecting their energy. Chosen one, this next chapter of your life will expose just how powerful divine timing truly is. The opportunities arriving now are not random coincidences. The sudden clarity is not accidental. The emotional heaviness lifting from your spirit is not your imagination. God is repositioning you intentionally after a long season of hidden warfare. You are stepping into alignment. And when alignment begins, confusion starts disappearing quickly. The same people who once ignored your value will suddenly recognize it too late. The same doors that remained closed will begin opening unexpectedly. The same confidence you lost will return stronger than before, because God restores differently than humans do. When people restore, they often return fragments. But when God restores, He rebuilds foundations. Chosen one, stop mourning people who secretly celebrated your struggles. Stop exhausting your spirit trying to prove your worth to those committed to misunderstanding you. Some individuals already decided how they wanted to see you long before you defended yourself. No amount of explaining would have changed their hearts because their issue was never truth. Their issue was envy, and envy never needs logic to exist. Jay watched your resilience carefully because it intimidated them. Every time you recovered from disappointment, it frustrated them internally. Every time you remained kind despite betrayal, it exposed their bitterness. Every time God protected you from situations meant to harm you, they became even more unsettled spiritually. Because deep down they realized something undeniable: your life carried divine favor. That favor is becoming impossible to hide now. People are beginning to notice the shift around you. Your energy feels lighter. Your spirit feels stronger. Your discernment feels sharper. And your future feels closer than ever before. Chosen one, do not fear the separation happening in your life right now. God is not removing people to punish you. He is removing distractions so you can finally see your worth clearly. Some relationships survived only because you tolerated emotional imbalance for too long. Some connections existed only because you kept sacrificing your peace to maintain them. But heaven is ending cycles that continuously drained your spirit. And although the transition feels uncomfortable, freedom is growing inside you at the same time. The version of you entering this next season will not beg for acceptance anymore, will not chase validation anymore, will not ignore red flags anymore, because after everything you survived, your spirit finally understands that peace is priceless, and the blessing God is sending into your life now cannot coexist with constant emotional warfare. Chosen one, one day you will look back at this season and realize that what felt like abandonment was actually divine redirection. God had to separate you from certain people before they could damage the very blessing heaven was preparing for you. At the time, it hurt because you loved deeply, trusted sincerely, and believed the people around you wanted the best for your life. But God could see intentions you could not see yet. He knew who secretly resented your growth. He knew who smiled in your face while hope in your future would never unfold. And before their plans could fully develop, heaven stepped between you and the attack. Jay believed they understood your limits, but they never understood your connection to God. They judged you based on temporary weakness, while heaven was looking at your eternal purpose. They saw your struggle but could not see your anointing. They saw your tears but could not see the spiritual strength forming inside you. And because they focused only on your painful season, they completely missed the powerful person you were becoming through it all. Chosen one, your pain was never wasted. Every lonely night taught you endurance. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every delay taught you patience. And every spiritual attack pushed you closer to the voice of God. The enemy wanted your suffering to make you bitter, but instead it made you wiser. It made you stronger. It made you impossible to manipulate the way you once were. Now God is leading you into a season where your peace will no longer be interrupted by people who carry hidden agendas. You are entering an atmosphere of clarity. The confusion is breaking. The emotional heaviness is lifting. The constant anxiety around certain relationships is fading because your spirit finally recognizes what belongs in your life and what never truly belonged at all. The people who underestimated you will soon witness your transformation from a distance. They will watch doors open that they tried to close. They will see favor surround your life in ways they cannot explain. They will wonder how you recovered after everything designed to destroy your confidence. But what they will never fully understand is that God personally carried you through the darkness when nobody else could. Chosen one, your breakthrough is not just about material blessings. It is about becoming spiritually free, free from the need to prove yourself, free from emotional manipulation, free from toxic cycles that drained your soul. God is restoring your identity, reminding you that you were never created to live beneath fear, insecurity, or constant rejection. You survived because your purpose was bigger than the attack. You endured because heaven refused to let your destiny die. And now the same God who protected you in private is preparing to bless you publicly. So walk into this next season without fear. Leave behind the voices that doubted you. Leave behind the pain that tried to define you. Leave behind the people who only loved you when you were struggling. Because what God has prepared for your life now will make every hidden battle, every silent tear, and every painful separation worth it in the end.